Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. My name is Meg. I'm a senior partner manager here at ShoeBob. I'm really excited to announce our next session with our partners AvenueZ, Unsociable, and Straight Up Growth. We're going to get into some really quick presentations from each of our partners to share their top tips for success this peak season. Save your questions for the end because we're going to open up to a live Q&A. So I'm going to let Ben from Unsociable kick it on first. If you'd like to join me on stage and share your screen.
Hey guys, okay.
Daniel, if you want to just mute yourself, and then Ben, if you want to unmute, perfect. And we can see your screen.
Should I put it on full screen? Sorry, I don't usually use Microsoft. I'm a Google guy. Oh, that's went all the way back to the start. Can you guys still see?
No.
Sorry.
Hey, all good. If you need, let me pull it up on my side. I can pull up the deck if you have it.
Is that okay? Would you be able to share, please?
Yeah. Lizzie, do you have that deck handy? I'm just looking through to grab that. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Okay, thanks everyone. A little technical difficulty, but it wouldn't be a webinar without it. So let me pull that up. Okay. Sharing my screen.
I'm going to try and make this worth it now, which is no pressure.
I am looking for the screen sharing ability, and I'm not finding it. Inzy, do you know where the screen share is?
Hey Meg, yeah, if you go top left, share screen, I can probably even share these.
There we go. Found it.
Awesome.
Okay, we are back, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. Okay, Ben from Unsociable, you saw.
Okay, so just a quick intro. I'm the founder and CEO of Unsociable. We're one of the top-rated TikTok Shop partners in the UK and the US. So this part of what you're learning today is going to be very biased towards TikTok Shop. So just a heads up on that. I am going to talk generally though about something that I think could be really impactful, not just for TikTok Shop, but across platforms, and something that as a brand or a retailer, I would have top of mind this year. And it might sound slightly obvious to you, but I think that people often overlook this. Well, I'll wait for you to bring it up, Meg. I think it just went off.
Sorry, I also encountered the same issue where it restarted. And okay,
I think I can share. I think I can share it, but
okay, I'm not going to present it anymore. There we go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my tip this year, which is super important to TikTok Shop, but all channels, is let the product do the talking. And I think it's something that people overlook when they're thinking about peak season, because content-led commerce is here, and it's super important across all digital channels, is like how your product is presented and how it's perceived by consumer. And it's kind of age-old marketing, like think about product first, but it's even more important in this day and age, and there's different aspects you need to consider, and there's a trap that you don't want to fall into. So if you just flick the next slide, please, Meg. Yeah, so I think that's something that a lot of the brands and retailers I've spoke to this year fall into, is like, you know, I've got great margin on this product, or it's something that we believe the consumer will want, but they don't actually want. So trying to push like boring, dated old, tired products in peak season, it's just not going to work. Like, people want to be excited, they want to see something new and unique. And TikTok Shop fully emulates that with all of the products that you've seen go viral. And the majority of the stuff is viral for 3 reasons, and it's price, novelty, or exclusivity. So I would be thinking, if I was a brand, about how I can create something that people haven't seen before. or that people really want. And don't fall into this trap that I've put on this slide here, which is like, we've got amazing margin to play with, so we're just going to push this product, or the CEO wants us to push this product, or any of those like tired old traits that occur. Think about something that leans itself well across digital channels, and particularly in your content. And if it's not something that you've got, then think about something that you can create, because even brands with like boring run-of-the-mill stuff can make it exciting at this time of year. If you just flip to the next slide. Thank you. And it's super important for TikTok Shop as an ecosystem, because that's where virality starts. And it's the same across all social channels. If you've got the right product, then you're going to attract the right type of people to promote that product. And then you're going to get the right customers. And that's what you want at the end of the day. You want something that people want to see, something that people want to buy, something that pops on the feed. And if you are doing TikTok Shop this year, or you're thinking about giving it a go, then I can't recommend highly enough to think this through, because one thing that you'll come up against if you try TikTok Shop is the affiliates will decide whether you go viral or not. So if you try and push them something that they don't want, then it's not going to work. So what we've been doing with a lot of brands recently is, if you've got like say you've got like a boring like run-of-the-mill supplement brand, like you've got like omega-3s or something that everyone's seen, everyone's taken in the past, vitamin D, something like that. Like, how can you create that in a unique way? So like, if it's peak season, do you want to like bundle it up into a set and then create packaging around that? Is that something that affiliates would want on TikTok Shop? Is that something that your customers want at the end of the day? That's what I would be thinking about, is like, how can I do something unique to stand out this year, rather than just pushing the same old stuff that I always have. And if you get the right product fit on TikTok Shop, it is the #1 determining factor on whether you will go viral or not, whether affiliates will take your product, and then you'll get into that flywheel effect on TikTok Shop. And actually what you'll see is those products that you do have really good margin on, you will get an uplift on all of those sales, and you will get an uplift on other channels if something is going viral on TikTok Shop. So I can't stress it enough. Have a think about what you're trying to push on the platform, what you're trying to push generally. Does it lend itself well to content-led commerce? Because if it does, there's a high likelihood that you will create a beautiful flywheel on TikTok Shop that'll impact all your other channels. You just got the last one. So this is what I'm talking about here, and this kind of just breaks it down a bit for you, is the halo effect. It's one of the best things about TikTok Shop, is it's the only channel where you can drive a high amount of revenue and make it very commercially viable for you, but also see an uplift on other channels. And then the amazing thing about that is, as well, is you can take that content, and I know we're about to talk a little bit about Facebook ads, you can take that content and you can repurpose it on other channels. You can pull that from affiliates. But the remark that I want to leave you on is, if you want this beautiful halo effect, if you want this incredible uplift on other sales channels, and I'm not just talking about online, I'm talking about retail here as well, then it does start with the product. So you need to think about those 3 factors as product. When you're thinking about product, it's price, novelty, or exclusivity, or a combination of all 3. And if you can do that, I guarantee you'll have a good peak this year, if you're in this domain.
And thank you so much for providing those insights, Diana. I'm going to kick it off to you. Let's try and see if you can share your screen, and then if not, we can pull up your slides.
All right, I will give it a try. Thank you.
Love it.
All right, let me know if it's working.
Works perfectly. Maximizing meta ads. Let's get into it.
All right, we're doing good. Or at least we've got the technical part out of the way. So, hey everyone, I am Diana. I'm the Senior Director of Digital Marketing at AvenueZ. We are a media technology company that specializes in digital marketing and PR. Big thing that I'm going to be focusing on today is paid ad strategy. This is specific to Meta, but I will say that a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about can apply across the board for all paid ads. I'm going to be walking through 2 different things that I want to talk about, 4 tips for holiday season. The first set of tips is going to be around just ad strategy in general, things for setting up your campaigns and how to go about it for those of you who are new to holiday planning. And the second part is going to be specific to leveraging historical data to plan out projections and how you're going to go about your ad buying strategy for Black Friday. So let's get into it. This first part here that we're going to be going through is 5 different tips for setting up your ad campaigns. So setting up your ad campaigns is really crucial for a lot of brands who are relying on performance marketing for their Black Friday success. Ad buying on Black Friday is a different ballgame than it is for most of the people who are in the ad buying world. You already know this, but if you are new to this, the tips that are on here are going to be helpful for setting up your campaigns. First one that I have on here is around keeping your evergreen campaigns live. This is something that a lot of people think you shouldn't do. A lot of people want to turn off all of your evergreen campaigns and shift all to just sale campaigns, which I really don't recommend. You want to keep your campaigns that you already have running, continuing to run in your ad account. This is going to set you up for the best possible scenario when the sale time period ends and you have to switch back to all of your original campaigns. So what I'd recommend here is setting up all of your sale campaigns side by side your evergreen campaigns. Make sure that you have all of the audiences that you want to hit based on what typically performs best for your brand. But you can have both of these campaigns side by side. Your evergreen campaigns will probably surprise you performance-wise. Some brands, these perform almost just as well as their Black Friday campaigns. So keep these running. If you have budget restrictions, scale them back a little bit just so that you have enough budget to put in your Black Friday campaigns. But I recommend just keeping these going at a low budget throughout the weekend. And then when it comes time to turn everything back off after Cyber Monday, at least it'll be an easier transition for you and you can just flip the switch and go back to all of your normal campaigns. Next thing on here is about bid strategies. So we're going to be talking about going through highest volume and highest value bid strategies. So for a lot of brands with their evergreen campaigns, they leverage a lot of target ROAS or bid cap campaigns, which is something that you don't necessarily want to do in Black Friday. So you can still have these campaigns if they're top performers for you. I do recommend having them, but you don't want to rely on them for Black Friday. So a lot of Black Friday is just seeing how the data turns out in your ad account and scaling the campaigns that are performing well. And if you have only bid cap or target ROAS campaigns, you're not going to be able to scale those in the way that you want to. You don't have the control over the audience on those campaigns. You're not going to be able to push the spend behind them that you want to. So make sure you have highest volume and highest value campaigns for majority of your campaigns for Black Friday so that you can hit the levels of reach that you want to and continue to add spend as you want to as well. Next point is on creative. So I think this one everybody knows, but you want to make sure that you have tons of creative prep for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I would say rule of thumb for most brands is make sure you have at least 12 to 15 creatives, but the more the better when it comes to creatives for Black Friday, especially if you're running a lot of Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, you can have tons of creatives in there. So what I'd recommend doing here is taking all of your top performing evergreen campaigns, turning those all into sale creatives, whether that's adding text overlay or putting banners on top of different videos, turning all of those into your top 10 performing creatives into sale creatives, but then also make net new creatives on top of that as well. So you should have a good mix between completely new creatives and then existing creatives that you know already work well for your brand. One thing you can do for this, if you're a brand that runs a lot of UGC videos, just make 1 or 2 banners that go with your branding, they fit your sale, things that your team has all aligned on, and just take that same banner and put it across a bunch of different videos. It'll also keep consistency throughout your ad creative. So as users are seeing different videos, they'll recognize it right away, know it's your brand. So that's an easy way to just work through 1 or 2 designs with your team, but then have a ton of different creatives with it. So make sure you have a bunch of different creatives, and then you also want to diversify the types of creatives that you have. So mentioned on here about having different formats such as videos, images, and GIFs in your campaigns. This is something that you want to make sure you have because you don't know what the costs are going to look like come Black Friday. CPMs are really unpredictable. And say you have CPMs are really high on your videos, but not on your images, and you want to be able to shift and put some more spend towards those image ads. You want to make sure you have just a bunch of different options available so that you can pivot based on how performance is going that day. Last thing on creative tips is about the 5-second rule. Some of you might already be familiar with this, but the 5-second rule is just making sure that when you're looking at a sale creative, the user should know exactly what your sale is within the first 5 seconds of the ad. So if you're doing a video ad, you want to make sure that the sale is right in the beginning, not at the end. Make sure it's not just at the end screen or with your call to action. You want to make sure it's very obvious to the user, especially on Black Friday. People know all about it. They're only looking for sales, so they're not going to be interested in any ads that don't scream sale right off the bat. Next thing on here is for multi-SKU stores specifically. This is a thing that you need to have in there for any brand that if you have more than 3 SKUs, you really should have this kind of ad. So this is for DPAs and instant experience ads. This is how you leverage your catalog to serve different dynamic experiences on the platform. These are usually a top performing format for any multi-SKU store, especially if you are in beauty or fashion, anything like that. You want to make sure that you have a lot of these ad creatives. You can make different collection ads or instant experience ads. You can pair them with sale creatives where the algorithm will serve the products in your catalog based on what that user has engaged with in the past or what they're most likely to purchase. And then my last tip for setup on campaigns is to make sure that you have everything published ahead of time. Two main reasons for this. The first one is due to the review process. So everybody is trying to publish their campaigns at the last second, trying to put in new ads, put in new campaigns. The review process can be really long, and it'll be longer than it normally is. If you end up getting any rejections, you want to make sure that you have time to fix them and make sure everything is up and running, ready to go for Black Friday. And then the second part really is to save yourself some time. So you want to make sure that on Black Friday, you're really using your time to analyze performance and be able to scale what you want to scale. You don't want to spend your time publishing campaigns and making a bunch of different ads. Get that all ahead of time, get it in before Thanksgiving, and make sure that everything is up and running before Black Friday comes. All right, and then next slide here, we're going to talk about leveraging historical data. So for the last slide, we were kind of talking about for people who are new to ad buying in the holiday season. This goes both ways. If you have historical data because you've done this before with your brand and you know how your brand performs in Black Friday, that's great. You've got a really good advantage. You should be looking at how you performed last year and day over day trends of how you performed to plan out how you should spend your ad budgets and how much you want to allocate per day based on what you performed last year. However, if you're not in that situation and you don't have the advantage of looking at some historical sales, these trends that I have on the screen here are some things that were common across the board on Meta last year so that you can use this in your planning for Black Friday. One thing to call out on the algorithm for the first tip is that in the early hours of the day last year, the algorithm overspent and overpaced. So between midnight and 7 a.m., the algorithm overspent what it would have normally in that time period. So it spent a larger percentage of your budget than you would have anticipated it to. So this time period before 7 a.m. on Black Friday is usually one of the lowest performing time periods. So take this into consideration when you're publishing your campaigns, maybe save some of your budgets, don't increase them early on in the day. This is low performing, and a lot of brands had kind of run through a significant portion of their budget earlier in the day, where you really want to save that for later in the day when the performance picks up. Next thing is that last year there was higher than anticipated CPMs on the platform. So this is the main thing that you want to leverage your historical data for. You can look at what the CPMs increased for your brand year over year to see how much of a percentage increase it was from earlier in November to later in November, and then also from Thanksgiving into Black Friday to see how much reach you're going to get. But last year, in comparison to the year prior, it went up a lot more than people were anticipating it to in comparison to the historical data. So when you are doing these projections, make sure you're giving yourself a good amount of margin just to make sure that you can expect for that to go up a little bit more. I think right now, everybody who's in the ad buying world knows the CPMs are pretty rough because of the political things going on. So all of that is going to have a really big impact. So I think we'll all be used to the high CPMs, but make sure that you are taking this into consideration when you're doing your projections. Next tip on here is about the conversion rate changes. So last year, there was a 50% decline from Friday into Saturday in terms of conversion rate and performance. And then there was another 25% conversion rate decline from Saturday into Sunday. So this is incredibly expected. Most brands have the same exact trend where Friday is really top performing and the late hours in Friday do really well. And then Saturday, it's a really big drop off. Sunday, even more drop off, because people want to do a lot of their shopping on Friday when they know there's going to be good sales. And then people who didn't shop on Friday are holding out until Monday when they know more sales are going to be coming out for Cyber Monday. So when you're planning out your budgets and how much you want to allocate from Friday to Monday, make sure you're considering the fact that performance is going to go down on Saturday and Sunday so that you can pull back your budgets effectively and save that budget for Monday when you know it's going to do well. Which goes perfectly into the next point, which is that the final hours of Cyber Monday for most brands are the top performing time periods. So this is late at night on Cyber Monday, like after 8 o'clock Eastern time is when a lot of brands see their top performing metrics for the whole entire weekend. So just make sure you have good budget allocated towards that and you have basically budget stacked up so that you can spend it in this time period when you know a lot of people are going to be purchasing and have a lot of ad variety in that time period. And then last point for trends from last year is that last year we had a handful of brands in our portfolio that actually had a better December 1st through 15th than their entire Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. So they also had great Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but then that time period before their shipping cutoff, they really, really hammered into their ad strategy and did really well in that time period. So figure out when your shipping cutoff is and use that to your advantage.
Thank you so much, Diana. I just wanted to give a quick time check because I want to make sure that we have time. That was super, super informative and really tactile. So we really appreciate it. I want to give Daniel a moment to make sure that we can get through his presentation. So Daniel, if you want to share your screen and unmute yourself, so bring up the rear on the final bit of insights.
Awesome. Okay. Let's get this screen share going.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's present. Oh, nothing. I can't seem to get this. Just give me one sec. Otherwise, we'll just do it in the small view.
Yeah, small view might be your best bet.
Yeah, maybe let's just use the small view for this.
I hope everyone on the webinar brought their reading glasses or got their eyes checked because we're doing it small view style for the TikTok session.
Sorry, what was that? Is the screen okay?
I'm making a joke. Yeah, you're all set.
Can we see my screen okay, everybody? Let's see.
You can see your screen, but the slide looks empty. Let me see if I can pull it up on my side. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to share my screen.
1 second, everybody.
Okay, screen is sharing. So if you want to hop into it, Daniel, we've got about 3 minutes left in the session.
Okay. So we're going to talk about some quick Prime Day tips here for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So a couple things to think about, right? One of the most basic things is content. I know that content is always king, but especially when it comes down to peak holidays, right? What you're going to have is a higher degree of sessions and traffic. You also have a higher propensity for purchase, right, during the holiday season. So we see higher conversion rates, and we want to make sure we are prepping our listings to be as high converting as possible. One of the tips that we actually do here at Straight Up Growth is we'll take a look at your unit session percentage against your competitor kind of baseline, right? So one thing you can look at, if you look into the ad console under brand metrics, there's the ability to look at your conversion rates against the category median, right? So that's one thing we definitely like to start off with before holiday seasons there to make sure that we get our listings up to snuff and really drive that traffic for high conversions. Another thing to consider, Amazon retargeting DSP works so well on the holidays, right? So we tend to actually increase our budgets significantly. Pro tips, you want to make sure you're driving some sort of deal, obviously, but past purchasers for Amazon DSP in a couple different ways. We like to retarget customers who have viewed but not purchased, right? There's a lot of shoppers on Amazon become browsers leading up to the holidays themselves. And so one thing we want to make sure is that we are doing our best to actually drive that into a conversion. So setting up a DSP, retargeting viewed but not purchased is great. We also like to re-engage shoppers during holiday seasons. So being able to leverage Amazon's DSP and creating an audience in which you target customers that have purchased from you in the past, but haven't purchased from you guys in like the last 30, 60, 90 days. Really good way to get those customers back into the fold, right? Sometimes, especially for consumables, we find that, customers that buy twice are like 50% more likely to buy, 10 times typically. So definitely a very strong pro tip there. The other thing, getting inventory into Amazon sucks, right, during the holidays. And so make sure you're strategizing against your actual inventory positions, right? We know that post holidays, we tend to see a sales bump. And so we want to make sure that if we are driving traffic, if we are driving ad spend, we have the inventory to actually support those efforts for sure. We also like to set goal-specific strategies. This is really, really key for the holidays, right? We're going to have buckets of spend that are focused on new customer acquisition, right? It's really easy to overspend, and so making sure that we set these budgets out by goal, by type, by product, allows us to make sure that our budgets are balanced, right? We also want to make sure that we are looking at things like the ability to upsell products, right? We can target our own product listings, for example, with other products that we sell. And then also repeat purchases, right? So things like DSP, like I mentioned, are definitely very solid to check out. We also have a holiday guide specifically on content for types of holiday focused content that we've done. There, we've seen some really, really great results. So we definitely have a free guide that'll be helpful. Let's see. And then I'd also check out, I know we have a pretty interesting case study here just on like how powerful content can be there. But yeah, anything, just go ahead. Feel free to reach out to us, Straight Up Growth.
I want to just call out to the Clear Study case study. ClearStem. ClearStem is also a ShipUp merchant, and we had our merchant-facing conference this year, and ClearStem was on a panel, and they shouted out Straight Up Growth as their Amazon growth partner that they've been seeing a ton of success with. So it's really, really great to see a mutual customer really thriving using Straight Up Growth. So just wanted to call that out.
Love those partnerships.
We love the partnership. So we are at time, folks. Please make sure to head over to the virtual booth if you want to connect with anyone that was here on our panel today. I know we didn't have time for the Q&A, so perfect opportunity to take your questions there and interact with folks one-on-one. Or feel free to reach out to me, myself, or Ben, Diana, Daniel, if you have any questions or you want to get connected. Panelists, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really, really appreciate it. And we are going to keep it moving to the next session.
Thanks, Meg.
Thanks
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.